Okay, we're finally back to it, okay? I know it's been like 2 months and we're back, okay? And it's not even convenient because honestly, it's the middle of summer, it is hot as balls. I have to have a fan in here. My house doesn't have AC, so right now I got lights on me. It's hot. I don't know if you can tell, I'm already like sweating profusely from sitting for about 5 seconds. But let's do this. Ant-Man the Wasp is again directed by Peyton and is the latest chapter in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, taking place before the events of Infinity War. And this one, much like the first Ant-Man where it came out after Avengers 2, and it's like a smaller scale thing. We've had this big, epic movie, and now small scale, very singular, more comedic, family-centered movie of Ant-Man. And the first one I loved a lot. It was like a real enjoyable, funny heist movie, and it was a pleasant surprise, and I really enjoyed it, especially after what was a disappointment in Avengers 2. But this one, coming after Infinity War, which was anything but a disappointment. That was the ultimate be-all, end-all Marvel movie. And now this one, still, I appreciate the fact that we're going small scale, Ant-Man and the Wasp, because she's on the team now finally. Before Black Widow gets her own movie, the Wasp does. Oh yeah, and it stars Paul Rudd, Evangeline, Lilly, Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer, Michael Pena, Walton, Goggins. We also got Laurence, Fishburne, and Hannah John-Kamen as the villain Ghost character. We'll talk about that for sure. But in this one, Ant-Man, he's under house arrest because of the events of Civil War. He broke the Sokovia Accords to go and help Cap, so he's under house arrest, still trying to be a good father, at least, maybe not a good superhero. And then Hope and her father, Hank Pym, they're trying to go back into the subatomic zone area. I forget the wording on it. So they want to go subatomic because maybe they can find Mrs. Pym, what's her name? Hope's mom. They want to go find Michelle Pfeiffer. And yeah, that's kind of the movie, is like, Ant-Man wants to be a good dad, but he's under house arrest. The Pyms want to go subatomic and find Michelle Pfeiffer. And then Walton, Goggins, and Ghost are doing bad things on the side. And the thing about the character of Ghost is it's a character that like phases through everything. So in a way, she also wants Michelle Pfeiffer from a subatomic zone for her own reason. So it's just people racing to try get their hands on this lab, this tech to go subatomic, and so on and so forth. It's not even a real hero versus villain movie. It's just like two people competing for the same thing. But yeah, this movie, unlike the first one, this was not a pleasant surprise. I went in very excited, very looking forward to it, and I wasn't disappointed in the sense that I got more or less what I expected. A more small scale, it doesn't have to be the end of the world. It can be a very character-centric movie, comedic, funny. Yes, I enjoyed all that. And the first one definitely felt like the most kidified of the Marvel movies, the most all ages appropriate. And I mean, yeah, it centers around a father superhero who like does everything for his child, and he is a really good dad. And Paul Rudd, this ageless god beauty, he's great. He's fantastic. My issue with the movie is the central conflict is almost non-existent for the most part, and they've sacrificed a lot of Ant-Man's character to give the Wasp more to do, because in the first one he's like this really good cat burglar, smart guy, very competent. He's also very funny, and a lot of funny stuff happens, but he's a competent guy. And this one, he's very bumbling and dumb and the butt of every joke, so the Wasp can be extra awesome. I don't mind if they want to make the Wasp awesome at all. I think she is. Evangeline Lilly does great. She kicks ass. She's gorgeous. It's a cool costume. The use of her powers is badass. I love it. Shrinking down, getting big. I love Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, and Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves, so why wouldn't I enjoy it when they're superheroes getting big and little to kick ass? That's awesome. But it's like when people are complaining about Mad Max Fury Road, like, oh, Furiosa totally undermines Mad Max as a hero. It didn't bother me there. I didn't even really feel like it. It felt appropriate for that movie. Here, it really feels like they kind of bitch slap Ant-Man to the side, and like the Wasp is going to take this. Switch it around, call it the Wasp and Ant-Man, because clearly she's the one they're most concerned about. Even though Scott Lang is like the more important character, it's all about him being a good father and trying to help out everything, but it feels like they're doing him a disservice, and it is a little bit of a problem for sure. And yeah, the central conflict, Ghost. This is complicated and tricky. Because while I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, well, this is interesting because it's not necessarily a hero-villain thing. It's something else. They're going a different way. It's not very basic hero versus villain. It's a complicated villain, maybe not even a villain. She's got her motivations and so on and so forth. But unlike Thanos, where it's really interesting, here it just seems like a conversation would have solved everything. And the problem is, like, she does good, she does fine. And the character looks really cool, and because she has phasing abilities, stuff can go through her. And, like, that's cool. But it's just it's not a very memorable or exciting or interesting conflict at the end of the day, because it feels like they're not going all out on a villain, so it just seems more half-assed than anything. And I liked it when I was watching, like, that's cool that it's not really a villain, but I feel like you still kind of got to go for it, because the real villain we get is essentially Walton Goggins, and he's just a businessman that's very much in the background of the movie. And I love Walton Goggins. That guy, when he's working with Tarantino, he's perfect. Absolutely. And even in something like Tomb Raider, he's a lot of fun. He's very enjoyable. Yeah, he really has like this southern, like really slimy charm to him, Walton Goggins. And here he brings that charm, but it's just like, he never gets to rise up above this sort of mediocre, whatever, very side, very background villain. Like, yeah, the conflict for this movie is almost non-existent, and so it kind of becomes tedious to watch, where you're watching stuff happen, but you don't feel like there's any pressure, or like, this has to be done now. I don't feel worried or anything. The stakes are very low, and I didn't mind that about the first one. It was lower stakes, but here, like, you still have to have them to a point where you care about what's happening. I was sort of passively enjoying the movie, like, okay, they're gonna go subatomic, and there's Michelle Pfeiffer. Cool. The de-aging technology, we get a little bit of like flashback. It's amazing. It still blows my mind. Pretty soon, I imagine we're just gonna have Michael Keaton will do a third Batman movie where they can de-age him to be like in the 1990s, and it'll be totally believable. I feel like Marvel or Disney, their technology, I don't know who does it. Is it ILM or someone? It's just perfect at this point. So they need to do something with that. Do a full movie with it, because I believe it. I buy it fully. Michelle Pfeiffer in this. Holy shit, I totally bought, like, that's her from the 80s. How'd they do that? Time travel? Yeah, the movie lacks stakes and any real conflict. It is funny. It's not super funny. It's like, like you're sitting there, you laugh a little, a chuckle, no real, like the first one felt a lot more funny to me. The action is still cool. Like when you're seeing the Ant-Man and the Wasp shrinking, getting bigger, fighting, that's a lot of fun. That's cool action and inventive, and at times it's really cool. There's a great car chase scene. There's some good stuff, and there's some like lesser, but overall still really good action. The characters, when they're not undermining each other for screen time, they flow and play off each other very nicely, very witty banter. Some of it more than others, like I said. It's the most kidified, so the humor just feels lesser than something more my speed. It's like, oh, it's fun for the whole family, right? A lot of kid jokes that no one else will appreciate, because it's not that good. So yeah, overall, I enjoyed Ant-Man and the Wasp. I thought it was a good movie, but it was also, it's just kind of a mediocre movie. It had expectations that it never rose above. It never bust through that ceiling. Like, it's just, it was what I expected to be, even lesser at times. It under-delivered. It's completely competent, it's completely watchable and entertaining, but that's about it. It is one of the more mediocre Marvel movies we've had in a long time, and it's just like, yeah, Ghost is not going to be memorable as a character, as a villain, because she's not even really a villain, so it's just overall, I'm going to forget about her in a month. And this movie is just, what I was worried about the first Ant-Man being, this one was. This did not really build off the first one in a great way. We lost something because the first one was a heist movie. It had a personality and an identity. This one just feels like any other superhero movie. Yeah, I'd give Ant-Man and the Wasp a B-. This is a very middle-of-the-road Marvel movie. Still enjoyed it, as I said, but just not that great, really. And I mean, the first one felt like such a breath of fresh air coming off Avengers 2, but after Infinity War, we don't need to keep building higher stakes, but you need to have a certain level of quality, I feel like, at this point. This one just didn't have it. So yeah, comment below, tell me what you thought of Ant-Man and the Wasp. Thanks for watching. I need to go wipe all this sweat off now. It is hot. I don't know if you can, like, get a sense of heat and humidity through the camera, but I'm dying. I'm melting. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.